Welcome to the Beer Blazers podcast. This is episode 4 from May 2nd, 2016, Having a Beer with a Happy Toad. Recorded on location at Smiling Toad Brewery in Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is Beer Blazers.
Welcome to another episode of Beer Blazers. I'm your host, Eric Johnson, and joining me this week for his inaugural episode is Tony Carosa. Tony, thanks for coming on today.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
So, how did I convince you to do this? I said beer, and you said okay, and now we're off and going.
Yeah, you said brewery. You've never been to it. I said I'm in,
and that's kind of why we're here. We are out today at Smiling Toad Brewery in Colorado Springs, kind of down on the south end, off 8th Street, kind of tucked away behind Tejon and Motor City, if you're familiar with the area. So we've come in. We've got, looks like about 10 different beers to try. 4 or 5 of them are IPA-like, and then some other styles. So we have a lot in store for our palate today.
Oh, yeah. One of them's even trademark. I'm excited to get to that one.
The IPA freely trademark 2016 or whatever, Smiling Toad. So Smiling Toad has been in the Springs, kind of a complicated brewery in a way. I mean, in 2013 it changed names. It used to be like the KBB Craft Brewery, and then it changed ownership, changed names. So I will, when we have the interview a little later on, I'll ask about that and how that all went down. But it is now Smiling Toad. You can find them at smilingtoadbrewery.com if you want more information on the internets. And a good little space. I mean, lots of open, like, big group seating, picnic tables, stage with a Harley on it, which I just love. Looks like they have a projector, so I don't know if they do, like, beer movie nights or come in here and maybe watch some sort of an old hockey movie or something. I don't know. Maybe
they put latest sports games on. I'm not sure. But
you could.
Definitely a cool little atmosphere. I like the group tables.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's also it's easier to sit down because you're not like, oh, that table of 4 has 2 people at it. It's weird to sit there. But when it's a big picnic table, you drop on the end and drink some beer and you have a good time.
Exactly. Get to meet people. It's a way to just cram up the next someone and be like, oh, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, how are you? I'm here. And hand me your beer. I'm going to try yours. Biff gave me a little tour of the back room before we started, so I'm going to post a few pictures of that. They have a 3-barrel system back there, a bunch of stuff fermenting. Their latest Fulcrum Imperial IPA, which we will try, their latest batch of it, the original Starting Gravity, 1.1.
Wow.
So normally when I have high gravity beers, when I brew, it's 1080, which is 1.080. This is 1.1.
Holy crap.
So he said he pulled a gravity read. They think it's going to be up over 10%. So it'll be a heavy, heavy beer.
Yeah.
But when that comes out, I'm definitely going to want to come back down here and give that a sip. Well, speaking of which, we've got 10 beers. Let me give you the quick list of everything we have in front of us, and then we're going to try these throughout the episode. The first one, the lightest one, the Ella Lavender. It's a common beer at about 5.2, so it's a California common style. We have a Pink Snapper, which is a wheat. The ESBN, which is an ESB, an extra special bitter beer. Coconut, which is listed as a dark ale. So he said kind of a porter.
Yeah,
kind of
said, it's kind of darker sort of porter.
And then a Runner's Red, which, if you couldn't guess, is a red. And then we get into the hoppy stuff. We have Galaxium APA, which is listed as an American Pale, only 34 IBU, but it's IPA-like. And then I'm going to do the IPA. I'm going to actually talk about the IPAs in IBU order. So the lowest one is the IPA Freely. That's the trademark one at 79 IBU. They have a Singularity IPA, which is at 83 IBU. An Orange Blossom, which is at 91 IBU and 6.4%. And the Big Daddy of the Fulcrum that we just talked about. This particular batch of it, I think that says 103 on the IBU or 113. Either way, it's damn high.
Yeah.
And 9.2% alcohol. So because we want to taste the others, we're going to start low. So we're going to try the comments. Actually, now's a good time. We can take a little sip. And
yeah, I was tasting it while Eric was telling you all about them, and it's actually, I can appreciate it. It's not my style of beer. It's a little sweet for me, but I'll tell you what, my wife would love it.
And I just took my first sip of it. It's very sweet. The lavender is, the nose.
Mm-hmm.
You really do smell the lavender, and it's sweet and it's crisp, clean, nice and clear, which is good. No cloudy here.
Yeah, it's not one I would personally order, but I tell you what, I could see, if you kind of like the sweeter beers, the more flowery beers, but like them in the lighter, this is this is right up your alley.
So it's sort of the I don't like hops. What do you have for me?
Yeah. So my background is I like a lot of hops typically. I've actually started moving away from hops and trying a lot more porters and darker ales.
Okay.
Just because, you drink enough IPAs, at some point you're like, I'm ready for something different.
Everything just starts to taste bitter and hoppy all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a great, I don't want to say a non-beer drinker's beer, but it's good for someone, because a lot of people that don't like beer, what they do is they don't like the bitterness of beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, I think, is a great beer that's nice and sweet. And even as a beer drinker, I like this. It's decent.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not going to dump the pint out. I'm going to drink it.
No.
So.
No, you're the beer snob that dumps pints out.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you see that list? I think I tweeted it out about the 10 or 11 things beer snobs do.
Yes,
and that's one of them.
Refuse to drink. I did read that.
Yeah, they relish in the fact that when they don't like a beer, their palate is refined enough that they will just dump it down the drain. It's like, you know what? Drink the beer. It's not that bad.
Who did that the other day? That was Jose.
Did he dump one out?
No, he sat there and just complained about it the entire time.
Yeah, but he drank it.
I think he ended up drinking it.
Yeah, he does. He does ultimately drink them. The next one up we'll give a shot here is the Pink Snapper. This is the wheat. 5.1 ABV, 19 IBU. So another pretty low, shouldn't be very bitter.
Mm-hmm. Really nice on the nose.
Oh, very, very weedy.
Mm-hmm.
You can smell that coming through. What do you think of the actual flavor stuff? And a little cloudy, as a wheat beer should be.
Exactly.
Right? There's still some suspended yeast in there.
No, it's a great wheat. I'd put it kind of right there with their stereotypical wheat. It's really good. It's clean finish.
It's what you expect from a wheat beer. Like I want a little slice of orange.
Yeah,
to go in that.
I don't like fruit in my beer.
Well, I don't either. But sometimes the style begs a slice of orange or.
Do you ever
mandarin?
So I heard once on why they served orange with wheat beers.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be because they're not filtered. It was supposed to be to filter it. They said when the original wheats just hundreds of years ago had so much, just grain leftover gunk in them,
floating in it. Okay.
Yeah, you'd actually take the orange and you'd put it up and you'd drink through the orange.
Oh, so you'd use like a slice of orange instead of a little, and then use it as a
filter.
Okay.
I don't know if it's true, but someone told me that.
Well, I like the story, if nothing else. So that's a pretty good reason to throw an orange in there, and it makes sense to some degree. I mean, but then your beer is going to be wheat it's going to be orange infused. You're not going to get away from that.
Exactly.
But hey,
that's what you do when you squeeze it in there, anyways.
That's true. It's very true.
This wheat is awesome. On a hot summer day, this is a perfect beer.
And they have a nice little patio. And even today, I mean, we're still early spring. People are out there enjoying the patio, getting some fresh air. So,
wonder if they've got bags out there.
Oh, you mean cornhole?
Yeah, cornhole.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to go check that out. Maybe we can have a little live cornhole competition on the show. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about here, Tony, you are a big beer collector.
Yes.
I mean, probably of the people I know, you're probably the biggest collector of beer. And I know a lot of people collect wine, but a lot of people have started collecting craft beer. I mean, you're not slugging away 80 cases of Coors Light for a rainy day. I mean, you're collecting good stuff. What's sort of the ins and outs? I mean, what do you look to collect? How do you build your collection? How often do you drink it?
So, I guess let's just back up a little bit. So, a couple years ago, I ran out of hobbies and I was traveling a bunch for work, and I got to the status level as an airline where you get 70 pounds free. And my wife's from Michigan, so I went out to visit her family, and it's like, man, I wish I could just bring home all this Bell's, all this Founders. And so I packed it all up in a box and shipped it. And it's like a couple bottles broke, and it just was a bad idea.
And that's pretty heavy.
Yeah,
liquid.
It was. I probably shipped myself like 2 cases.
Okay.
And the cost of shipping was probably the same cost of all the beer. It's like there's got to be a better way. So the place I used to work at, we would haul around large pieces of equipment. Mm-hmm. That's like really what I need is one of these huge transit cases that I could just pack full of beer and haul them around. Though the problem is those transit cases are like $300 or $400.
The big hard-sided with the foam
like
insert.
I think Pelican
the
has
wheels.
Yeah.
And the kind of thing you're going to take a server in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so then the real question is, how do you get something like that? Even if you had one of those, what do you pack the beer in? To try and keep it, to make it through an airline. You know how your bag's handled by the airlines. It's like, and now you're going to go put $100 worth of beer in there.
Yeah. Handle's not the right word.
Yeah.
Tossed around.
Exactly. So, I said, I would like to go everywhere I go, just get the beer that I try there and bring it home. So I'm not a trader. I'm not, those guys you see online and trade beer constantly. Pretty much every beer that I bring back, I try.
Okay.
And so you kind of get a little balance of, I could go trade, and some of my friends I trade with, and there's some people I know in places that we end up trading. So like whenever I go visit my wife's family in Michigan, I always bring a cooler full of beer there.
Okay, and to give them some stuff from Colorado.
And then they give me a bunch of stuff that they've collected from Michigan to bring home. So I went out on a search to figure out how do I build a unit that I could transfer beer in on the airline. And I ended up building what I call my BTU, my beer transportation unit. And it's dirt cheap, and it works phenomenally. So basically, it's one of those rolly coolers you can buy at Walmart for $25.
How big? Like 20 quart, 40 quart?
It's probably like 20 quart. It's got 2 wheels and a handle that retracts.
Okay.
I've got pictures of it. You could go and post it on Instagram.
Okay.
But then the key was, so I figured out the cooler I wanted, because you need to be able to roll it through airports, and you can throw your suitcase on top of it. And then the key was, what do you pack everything in? So I started out like going to the Home Depot and buying some of that hard foam, and cutting holes in it, and I measured them for kind of the 750s.
Okay.
The problem with that is it was a fucking mess. I had white little dots. I still have white little dots on some of the beer that's still sitting in my fridge from it, and it was kind of a one size doesn't fit all. You get some 750s that are wider, some that are skinnier, and then what if you just want to bring cans?
Yeah, or even a 12 ouncer is going to be a little smaller. And some breweries don't give you bombers. Some breweries give you 12s cans, like you said.
Exactly.
Or even what about even a growler?
Yep. How do you?
That's not going to fit in that hole.
How do you do that? And so, what ended up happening is I was like, well, what can I use? And I ended up finding memory foam. So, we were shopping for a new bed. I'm like, man, this memory foam topper at Costco, it's $100 for a twin, and it ended up fitting 2 coolers perfectly.
Oh, so you actually bought a bed topper and cut the fabric off and just got to the foam?
No, well, the ones that they sell at Costco are 3-inch memory foam topper.
Okay. And it's just solid foam.
It's just the solid foam, and you put it on top of your bed, and then you kind of have a memory foam top.
Yeah, okay.
So I ended up getting a twin of that. It was $99.
Okay.
And so you could make 2 coolers out of it. So the cooler size was like a Coleman, a blue and white Coleman cooler. And I cut the twin into sizes, and I could basically perfectly fit 2 coolers in there. It made 2 coolers worth. And then I strapped the whole thing down. Well, now I use cam straps, the kind of ratcheting
cam straps. Yep.
The first version I had like one of those plastic buckle suitcase straps. I've got a funny story about that. So, and I stopped using that for this reason. So I basically get back to the Colorado Springs, and my cooler comes rolling out on the conveyor belt, and I look at it, and the top's cracked open like 1.5 inches, and the strap is like tied. I'm like, oh,
so it's there, but it's been handed.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna suck. And I open it up, and I probably would say, so this was one where I just filled it with cans. So all I brought home was cans. Probably I can fit about 2 cases of cans in one.
Okay, what about 4 layers or 2 layers? 3 layers?
When I do cans, I basically don't use a lot of foam. I use foam around the outside just to hold everything tight, but I stack 2 layers. I think it's 2 layers of cans.
So you'll go can on can.
Yep, can on can. Cans are pretty robust. But I ended up opening this up, and what I anticipate happening is it fell off the little conveyor belt, broke the plastic buckle, blew the top up, and I swear there probably was 40 cans rolling around the airport, the runway. And pretty much every can was dented, but I counted them all, and every can was accounted for.
And not one of them broke.
Not one of them broke, and they put them all back in. Not in the best order, but they put them all back in.
So you got lucky. And so needless to say, you didn't want to risk that again.
Exactly.
So you've gone to the crazy cam strap.
Yeah, then you do cam straps, and you just run 2 laps around the whole thing. And with that setup, so the cam strap, the memory foam, and the cooler, I've actually now, the thing that breaks is the wheels end up breaking on the coolers.
Okay.
But
just from the weight? Or
just
the use and
just being used, dropped,
around,
and dragging them around. But I would say, my coolers have over 150,000 miles on them.
Wow.
With airline. They've been to Europe a couple times. They've been to Asia a couple times. So all over the U.S. They basically go everywhere I go in the U.S.
So, I mean, us being in the high-tech industry, I have to ask, what version of the BTU are you running right now? It sounds like you went through a couple upgrades.
Yeah, so it all depends on, do you count like my strap upgrade as one?
Oh, that's a minor revision.
So the cooler that I like, I've stuck with, and that's just because it's, 20 or $30 at Walmart.
So day one, that's been your cooler.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I did the white foam, and I went from white foam to memory foam. And then from memory foam, I stuck with the memory foam. I still have the original memory foam. And then from plastic strap to cam strap.
Okay, so it's been 3 or 4 different just sort of minor changes over the years, but
and then all of that. So every time I'll probably be bringing bottles back, and I've never broken a bottle or a can in that system.
Oh, you should knock on wood.
Yeah,
these tables are big. You should hit them while we're sitting here.
Yeah, I had 2 coolers full of Cantillon and Westy 12 from Belgium.
You don't want to break that.
Nope, don't want to break that. All kinds of stuff from Cigar City out of Florida. I'm there a couple times a year usually.
You mean Cigar City out of Broomfield, Colorado?
Whichever one you want to say.
The recent purchase.
Yep, exactly.
What's our next beer on the list? Oh, we've got an ESB coming up here.
Ooh.
6.2 ABV, 32 IBU. You've had a sip already.
Yeah, I've been sipping on it as I've been talking.
What do you think?
It's great. It's easy drinking. It's I wouldn't say extra bitter. It's got a little bit bitter. It's got a nice malty backbone.
There's a lot the malts come through on that quite a bit. Nice malty sweetness to it. It does have, you can pick up a little of the bitter. it's certainly not bland.
No.
It's very flavorful.
It's very good.
Very malty nose.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. That one's pretty tasty. What kind of beers do you tend to collect? So things like IPAs, you can't let sit too long, right? The hops start to drop out, and it's crap. But then, who is it? Stone. They're popular for doing their Enjoy by IPAs, but just this last year they started doing an Enjoy After series, which is this beer they've aged on Brett, and they say, no, take this home and you let this sit a year. So what kind of stuff do you like to sit on, and what kind of stuff do you go, oh, we're coming up on the time, we need to drink this weekend or whatever it is? Yeah,
so obviously anything hoppy, hops go away. So I'll bring back a bunch of IPAs, but they're gone in a couple months. I used to, whenever I was out in Boston, I'd bring back Heady Topper.
Okay.
And, I would get, just because I didn't want to drink them all super fast, I might get 6 months, and you could tell the difference, and from, fresh to 6 months. And they'd probably be yelling at me right now if I told them I sat on one of their beers for 6 months.
For 6 months, yeah.
But when you can only get them, once a year or once every couple years, I'll take it.
Well, we get probably about once a month in Colorado. We get Pliny the Elder from Russian River out in California, and usually the please drink me by date on the bottle is about a week after I buy the beer.
Yep.
So they're very big on, if you want to try this beer, to enjoy this beer, you need to drink it, and you need to drink it in a timely fashion. Speaking of timely beers, what do you think of that coconut ale?
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really, really coconutty. This has kind of seems like a new trend. A lot of people coming out with the coconut. Oscar Blues has got a coconut. There's a place up in Breckenridge, Broken Compass. They've got a phenomenal coconut.
Okay.
Kind of the coconut porter seems like one of the kind of the new big porters out there, and they're great. I really enjoy drinking them.
And it comes through. All I smell is coconut. Now, unfortunately, it reminds me of a lotion, because there's a lot of coconut-based lotions too, right? But it is at the end of the day still food. No, that smells really good.
No, it's that you can definitely smell.
Wow, you can taste it too.
Yeah, I get some of the porter behind it. In the nose, the coconut comes through nicely.
I had one not long ago at Storybook.
Okay.
And same kind of thing. It had a wonderful floral coconut nose, coconut taste. I have to say though, if I'm comparing apples to apples, the coconut flavor on this one is it's probably 3 times as much as I had in the Storybook beer. Not that it was a bad one, but this is just it's wow. I feel like I'm drinking coconut milk.
Yeah,
which
really good. I think the big thing with coconut is it's kind of enjoyable by everyone. It's not too bitter. It's not too sweet. It's got a different flavor besides, kind of the hops and the malt. It, kind of attracts all different, palates to enjoying it.
Well, and I've had several beers. Kind of the big example to me is a chocolate stout. People say, "Oh, it's a chocolate stout," and so people will go, "Oh, I like chocolate. I like that beer." It doesn't usually taste like chocolate. It usually tastes roasty and coffee. Mm-hmm. This one, if you don't like coconut, you are going to hate that.
Yeah.
But if you like coconut, you're going to love that beer.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It tastes like coconut milk.
It does.
Like it's like a workout drink, and we should just keep on drinking it.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you... you've got... Okay. Heck, how many fridges?
I've got 3 right now. A full, kind of standard kitchen fridge. Mm-hmm. That's packed full. Elk goes on the freezer, and beer goes in the fridge.
Okay.
And then I've got 2 wine fridges. I think they're 30 bottle.
Clear door.
30 bottle wine fridges that are packed full. There's a couple bottles of wine in there, but mostly all beer. A lot of sours. So I try and sit on sours.
And those you can age.
Yep, those you can sit on. We'll see. I think this is kind of year 4 that I've been doing stuff, so I've got stuff that's been sitting around for 4 years.
Well, I was going to ask what the oldest. So you've got stuff from 4 years ago still just hanging out.
Yep. And so we'll do and I try and get the same thing year after year, so you can kind of do some verticals, just
the seasonal compare of each one.
Yeah, just kind of understand how everything changes over time. And so between those, I would say a quarter of it's sours, maybe even a half sour. I really like sours, kind of the Rodenbach, Trefontaine, Cantillon, even some of the local stuff.
Right. And so I can't think of a way to do that. You really can't. So I mean, part of the problem with the verticals, I did one a few years ago. I got a La Folie from New Belgium, and a local store had the 12, the 13, and the 14. So this was 2 years ago. And he had all 3 that he had sort of saved. And so I went in, I paid him $50, and I bought all 3 bottles.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And they were really good. And you were able to see year to year how much they changed. The problem is, and there's no real good solution, the problem is how much of that is the fact that it's the 2012 batch, and how much of it is the fact that it's now sat around for 3 years. Right?
Yep.
Because you can't compare. I can't get a 2012 that's fresh.
Yeah.
So you have to, and if you would have tried it back then versus now, there's going to be changes from the aging, plus just changes from the barrel. And I think the sours are the ones. I mean, New Belgium, if you get a fat tire today probably tastes like a fat tire 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But when you get a La Folie, every season is different, a little bit different because of the different hops that were available, the different lacto, the way they soured, what they soured in. So I don't know how you compare apples to apples on that. You really can't.
You can't. It's really just what tastes good. So a lot of times what we'll do is, as our friend Ned likes to call it, the triple blind.
Triple blind.
Yeah, so you could do it with 2 or 3, but you basically can, the triple blinds, traditionally you take 3 of very similar beers and 2 of one and then 1 off, and you're trying to identify the 1 off.
Okay.
But with the verticals, what we'll do is we'll go in and do them blind and say which one's better. Is it the 13, the 14, or the 15? And ideally what you're looking for is, if the 13's the best, then age them. But if the 14's the best, maybe you age them for a year and you don't drink them after 2. So that's what we're trying to learn a little bit from it is, where is kind of that magic point to of aging before it just starts going downhill.
And so if the 15 or the 16 now, we're into 2016, is the best, then you just buy it and drink it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because obviously you're good. You don't need to do any sort of aging on that beer.
Exactly.
What's next on our little run through? Oh, we're to the Runner's Red. This is our last beer before we get into what I'm going to go ahead and call Hop City.
Yep.
The Runner's Red Ale, 6.2 ABV, only 43 on the IBU. This is actually hoppier than the APA we'll be trying here next. But what do you think of this one?
This one's good.
Sweet. I mean, it's a red.
Yeah. It's a little sweeter, but nothing too much. A little bit of the bitter comes through in the aftertaste, but not bitter. A lot of hop forward.
You've got the caramely sort of red malt back there. That's pretty tasty. Wow, that one's delicious. I have to say, halfway through, I haven't had anything that's been not great.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I kind of feel bad because I've said everything's good, but I usually don't say everything's good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and like you said with the the Ella lavender, like it's not your favorite style. And I've had Pilsners where I go, this isn't my style, but I can tell this is a good Pilsner.
Yep.
And I typically wouldn't go into a bar and say, yeah, give me that Pilsner. It was pretty good. I'll drink it. But this Ella, I'd actually order it, and it's a good beer on a hot day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so far, none of this would be bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at things, it's like, would I drink it, is one thing. It's, what does my palate, tend towards? And then, you next say, all right, is this a good representation of the style?
Right.
And then you just say, is this a good beer at all?
Yep. And we've both done some stuff with a local brewing club in town, Brew Brothers, and I've been involved in some of the judging events, and one of the interesting things is to watch people that are, they're these crazy hopheads, and that's what they like, but they'll sit down and they'll judge the Pilsner or the lager category, and they can still be impartial judges because they're comparing it to a style.
Yep.
Is it indicative of that style? Doesn't mean you like it. Right?
Exactly.
Like if you don't like chocolate milk, you can still tell you just tasted chocolate milk, right? So it works. By the way, just a quick aside before I forget, the food situation down here, it looks like they bring in food trucks pretty much on the regular. I mean, their board's got a list of every day of the week. Excuse me, I'm still getting over this stupid cough. Of stuff they bring in. So things like the Bite Me sausage truck, which I've had around town, and all things pita. So there's usually going to be a food option, and they got some tables over here set up that look like they might potluck stuff once in a while.
Yeah, no, Sunday I was looking at their website because I was trying to figure out if I need to eat lunch before I come down or not, and Sunday it looks like they do a potluck. So bring down your favorite dish and just share with everyone. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a good way to get food. And again, we've done a few episodes here where we've been at places that have kitchens. And more commonly in Colorado Springs, it's like this. You find a brewery and they have a food truck. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's actually a permanent food truck. I think there's a barbecue truck that sits at one of the breweries in town that's there exclusively. And so it's kind of an interesting dichotomy. But the food truck scene is getting pretty good. Let's see. Got a few more minutes before we take a quick break and bring on our interview, but a few more beers to try. What'd you grab?
I went to the Galaxy. Is it the Galaxy? I'm trying to look at my picture here.
Yep, the Galaxian.
Galaxian.
The Galaxian APA, 6.2% ABV, 34 IBU. That's this one.
Wow. Just the nose on it makes you think that it's an 80 IBU IPA.
Oh yeah, the hops come through on the.
Derek's spilling beer all over his face.
Yeah, I dipped my beer everywhere. It's fine. We got a little beer down. Beer down. Too much nose. You can't get it in there.
Party foul.
Party foul. I know. I need to. Yeah, beer down. No, it does. It smells like it's going to be hoppy, but
no, it kind of comes through really subtle on the hops. I mean, the aroma is phenomenal, and comes through as a great pale ale. Not an overly hopped pale ale. I would say kind of the standard German type pale ale, not the German hops though.
You pick up, so he said they use I don't think it's called Galaxian, I think it's Galaxia hops. It's an actual variety of hops. And you can, I wouldn't say they're bitter, but you can taste them. I mean, there's a grassy, sort of earthy flavor, but it's not hoppy. Mm-hmm. But you can certainly pick up the hop flavor, and it's quite delicious, actually. Yeah. This is probably... Actually, of the ones we've had, it's probably one of my favorites. Because I could sip this a long time, and it's at 6.2%. It's still not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, and I've kind of noticed, IPAs took this trend where, for a while, IPAs were 5 to 6%, and then they started spiking into the 7 to 8%.
Right.
And it seems like they've now come back down and settled kind of in the 5 to 7.
I mean, you still see 6.5. But I think you're right. It used to be IPAs were 7, 7.5, and then Imperial IPAs were all 10, 11.
Oh, yeah.
And now I think they've settled. The IPAs are around 6. And I've even seen Imperials that are now down to 7, 5, 8. They don't always have to be this above 10 thing. But it has settled. And I think part of that's because people are starting to enjoy the beer for the flavor. And, I do know people that are like, oh, I just drink beer to get drunk. And you're like, well, here. Have this 12% beer, and it's a shame that you're just going to guzzle that like it's water, but it'll get you there.
Yep.
But I think people, I myself included, I like the beer for the flavor. I mean, I don't drink it because I'm trying to get hammered.
Yeah.
If I did, I would stick to the high IBV stuff and just kind of, not IBV. What the hell am I talking about? See, this is what happens 6 beers in. ABV would be the alcohol level.
Well, and that's the hard part is, I really enjoy kind of the high gravity porters and IPAs and, aged stouts, but you can only drink a couple of them before you might as well just take a nap.
Right. Yeah.
And, there was that huge trend with, the session IPAs for a while.
Yep, and I still see them once in a while, but those are usually the sub 5s, right?
Yep.
4.5%, real hoppy. I can drink them all day long.
Yeah, I think the definition is it's under 5.
Yeah.
But, they're a little bit watered. I think that was kind of what people said. It's like, oh, yeah, they're great, but then you get, you're over-hopped. You don't really have that malty backbone to kind of bring everything together, and it's, they've kind of fluttered out, but you'll still see them, especially at the beginning of summer as people make the transition, and they're good. But it's like, it's hard to find a beer that you can drink all day and enjoy.
Absolutely, and and this we've had a standing argument for a while between, well, I like a good craft beer, so I'm going to drink some IPA that's 7 or 8%. But if I'm going to go out drinking all day, say go on a fishing trip or something, I'm only drinking a beer an hour maybe. You want to sit back and hammer some beer, and this is where you have a soft spot for the Bud Light when it comes to that.
Nothing wrong with Bud Light,
because it'll keep you hydrated and you can drink all day, and you're not gonna fall off the boat. Is the important thing there.
Exactly. You can sip on those all day, and part of it is I'm really antsy, so you
like having something.
Yeah, I stopped drinking cocktails because you put a pint glass in my hand, and I'll down that in 15 minutes. I mean, I used to go to a restaurant where the waitress would bring me a pitcher of water just because I drink so much water.
So you start putting yourself in a pint of a higher ABV beer. Within an hour, you've had 4, and by hour 2, you're just asleep somewhere in the corner.
Exactly, especially when you're out on a boat fishing and doing everything else. You're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, you're just grabbing a beer.
Yep.
And whether it's fishing, playing poker, any sort of event where you're drinking sort of as a secondary, it's easy just to keep on.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep drinking and chugging. And if you do the thing and you meter yourself and you say, oh, I'm only going to have a beer an hour, then you kind of hit this you get this little buzz, and then you drop, and then you get this little, and so it's tiring. That's a hard cycle to keep up with.
How do you pay attention to? I'm only going to drink a beer an hour.
Yeah, you really. I mean, you'd have to be pretty anal about it. Like, well, okay, beep beep beep, my watch went off. Time for my next drink.
Where you get into the lower ABV stuff, and they're self-regulating because you can only put so much liquid in your stomach.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be sitting there and drinking, even a session IPA, it's like,
right.
You drink 12 of them, it's like you just can't drink more liquid than that. And
biology helps clear out the liquid before.
Exactly.
Yep. And at the end of the day, beer is 95% water. So,
don't really need much else, right?
You really don't. Actually, funny, before we take our break, we went to, where the heck was I? I was at Chipotle, just having lunch, little burrito, and I got a water cup, and they're like, oh yeah, that's for water. And then I was sitting there, and we started the discussion of, well, what if I get soda water? Is that cool? Like, if I get the carbonated water, or do I have to get water? And then I was like, well, technically, that Corona back there is 95% water, so could I ask for a water glass and I'll have the Corona to pour in this.
But only 95% of it.
Only 95%, so I will pay you 5% more. Here's 50 cents. I'll pay you for the 5% that's Corona, and then I'm drinking the rest as water.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't been able to convince anyone to do that yet.
No, I doubt it.
Well, we still have the entire IPA flight here. We'll talk about what we think about that after the break, but we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have our interview and learn a little bit more about Smiling Toad Brewery. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, and joining us now is Biff, the owner of Smiling Toad Brewery. Thanks a lot for having us and being on and chatting with us for a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
So, Smiling Toad, this has kind of gone through some changes. I mean, you guys officially changed the name, and you took over in, 2013? Like, what's the history of the brewery and how that all? Because it didn't used to be craft.
Actually, it was craft beer. Kevin Beatty had his own brewery,
okay,
and he was going out of business. So I just bought his equipment,
okay,
and then we took over the same building, and about a year later we moved into this building.
Okay, so you've officially been Smiling Toad since about 2013, then.
Right, May the 20th, 2013.
Okay, and where were you before this? Were you still
on Bijou Street?
Okay, kind of
Bijou between Shelton and Academy.
Okay. What made you want to go into this particular line of work? I mean, this is not an easy thing to try to do, I imagine, day to day. So
that's a good question. I don't know. I wasn't working at the time. I was home brewing, and I like to tell the story. My wife wanted the garage back.
Yep.
So she said, get a job to go start a brewery. So here I am.
Okay. So she got the garage back.
She got the garage back.
Her new little brew space. Okay. I have to ask, what's the history of the Smiling Toad? Where did that come from? And
the name?
Yeah, the name, the mascot. Like, why is that your thing?
All the other names were taken.
Okay.
So when there's so many breweries, no rhyme or reason. I wanted to call it Sapo Wapo to begin with. I like the alliteration. And in Spanish, sapo is frog, wapo is handsome. But also in Mexican slang, sapo is lucky. If you win the lottery, they're going to yell sapo at you.
Oh.
And so it could mean the handsome lucky one, the handsome frog, the lucky frog, a lot of things. But my wife says it takes too long to tell the story, so I tell it every chance I get.
Oh, that's perfect.
And I said, how about Turtlehead for a name? She said no to that. So,
that was right out.
So now we're Smiling Toad.
Yeah, I can't imagine the logo on the other one. I don't know if you'd want to put that up on a poster. What styles of beer do you tend to enjoy yourself personally versus, I mean, you guys have a whole variety, but what's your favorite?
Well, right now we have 10 beers on tap, and I prefer IPAs.
Okay,
and you can see
four of them.
The first four are IPAs.
So you enjoy the hoppy?
I do love the hops.
Okay. Any? Do you guys do any experimenting as far as getting out into the world? Because sours are big now, and barrel aging and aging. Do you guys do any kind of experimental stuff or?
Sours not on purpose.
Okay. That's how they started. So that's good.
We don't have any barrels back there. We do have oak spiles and stuff.
Okay.
We're still using plastic fermenters. We just ordered 2 7-barrel stainless steel fermenters. We're excited about that. When they'll get here at the end of the month, we'll start doing lagers, have more control over the beer. So hopefully the consistency will be better. The taste will come around.
Okay. Do you guys offer a lot in the way? I mean, you have growlers, and I know I've seen your beer around town. So can people find it around town, or it's pretty much if they want Smiling Toad, they have to come here?
Pretty much so. We just did Craft Beer Week with Old Chicago. They featured us for a week. We've been on tap at a couple other breweries in town where we helped them out and sold some beer. We're brewing twice a week with a 3-barrel system just to keep in-house.
Okay.
And it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I can sell it at $5 a pint or $100 a keg.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to maybe increase that and start doing some of the distribution stuff, or are you kind of happy just sort of keep it in-house?
Absolutely. We continue to grow, not very fast. We grow as we can. Mm-hmm. We just ordered the 2 7-barrel fermenters, so we'll double batch. And then we're going to start looking perhaps to get into a restaurant or bar somewhere on a regular basis. We'll see what happens. We bottle beer once in a while when we have a bunch left.
Okay.
After kegging, if there's some left over, we'll bottle it up.
Okay, so you'll bottle like a bomber and sell it here.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're not looking to do 6-packs and
not yet. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And we talked about it a little bit earlier when we were walking over. You got the Harley here. Are you a big rider, or is this just something it was one of the on the whim kind of?
Yeah, it was on a whim. My brother-in-law is a motorcycle guy, and he bought the motorcycle for my sister. She couldn't start it because it's a kickstart, so I thought, well, I'll take it. It's a good thing, and we had some fun on it in the summer. It was parked here for the winter. My garage at home is a dirt floor, and the rats run wild, and I'm sure they'd love to eat the wires up, so we parked it here for the winter. I'll get it out in the summer and start riding it around.
Not only the brew equipment, the wife gets the Harley out in the winter, too. I spend a good half an hour every spring trying to dig mine out of all the crap that's been blocked it in for the whole winter. So.
That's a good point. I never realized how well my wife played me.
Yeah, no, she's pretty much got anything she doesn't want down here at the brewery. So.
Including me.
Yeah. No comment on that one. I have no opinion. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, you guys do some stuff. So you have the food trucks that come in, so people want something to eat, and then you have potlucks on Sunday.
Right.
So obviously you don't have a chef or anything like that. But how do the potlucks work? You just have people bring food in,
the potlucks are working Sunday afternoons. We do a potluck, and we ask that you bring in a crock pot or whatever you want to bring.
Okay.
Salad, even just a bag of chips. But the community's responding real well to that. We're getting quite a few people showing up and bringing various things, and it's not necessary to bring anything too, because because it's a community thing. Just come down and share a lunch with us.
Okay, that sounds really good.
And drink a pint.
And drink a pint, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to come down here, you can't just
exactly. It's about the community, but it's about the beer too.
Absolutely. So, are you a big dart fan? I noticed the steel tips.
I do. I love darts, and it's real darts. It's not the plastic ones. I think they're
the steel tip.
I think you need something for the people to do around here, and I think pointy objects really fits in with alcohol.
Absolutely, I can't agree more. Yeah. Now, is that something else that used to be in your garage and now it's down here?
No, actually, that appeared
that's
here.
That's where my dartboard is.
Yeah.
So, it all just gets shifted down. Do you guys do, I noticed the projector, like a movie night or sports, or is that just for presentations if someone wants to have a meeting? Or
Actually, we had TV for the Bronco games only.
Okay.
So we had a great run. The Broncos won the Super Bowl.
It was not a bad season for us.
I'm excited to say. Yep. We don't show the TV any other time except during Bronco games.
Okay. Then I can get behind that 100%. Are you guys dog friendly? I saw the bowl.
If the dogs are friendly, we're friendly.
Okay.
We've got treats for them, and they can come in. They're welcome here as long as they're friendly and don't cause a scene.
Perfect. Yes, that's another thing I know a lot of people, especially in Colorado, always look for a place they can.
Colorado, everybody has a dog and a beer.
Yep, dog and a beer is great. I would have brought mine. I didn't know. I would have had the golden sitting down here. So, well, I mean, again, thanks a lot for letting us come in, sitting down chatting with us, giving us a place to record. Really appreciate it.
Eric, thank you very much, and Tony, thank you too.
All right, thanks again for your time. All right, and we're back. Tony's back with me now. That was our interview with Biff to get a little bit more about Smiling Toad Brewery. And, man, we've still got 4, and I'm going to say solid beers left to try.
Yeah, all these IPAs I'm excited for.
All these IPAs. I just need to hear the sound. Here you go. You hear it? The sound of a flight getting out of my way. Empty glasses, new flight coming in. These are the IPAs that we have to try. So we're going to hit these here in the back half of the show. Actually, I think we might do these out of order a little bit because we probably want to start with the lowest IBU and work our way up on these.
Yeah, I've already started drinking. I'm looking at my list.
You had the Singularity.
Yeah, the Singularity, and it's great.
And this is the 6.2% ABV, 83% IBU. So I'm gonna take a little try of that one. I actually had this when I was taking the tour earlier. So.
Yeah, nice and malty. Not overly hopped at all.
Yeah, there's not a ton of hop aroma.
Nope.
A little bit.
But a really mild bitterness, but really phenomenal.
You do pick up
malty.
the grassy notes are coming through quite a bit on this one. Oh, for a second there, by the way, you almost fell into the old NPR skit from SNL. You were like, oh, it's a mild taste, and really quiet. We just got really somber tones. That was
really good.
That's it. That's
I
it exactly.
Really like this.
We'll do a different episode with that kind of a situation. No, the Singularity is pretty good, and this one, as far as I know, I didn't ask. I should have, but I think they do. These are sort of the 10 beers, and I don't know that they do a whole lot of special seasonals and things like that. And he was mentioning like the lavender is a big people want it, and so they're constantly brewing it over and over and over again to keep it in stock. But like he said, he's brewing about twice a week to keep the beer in stock here. So yeah, this one's really nice. Actually, I would at 83 IBU, it's sort of hard to believe, but I would almost say this is a perfect bridge for someone who's a fan of like a pale ale that's trying to move into the IPA world.
Well, as long as you count it as like a standard pale ale and not, I've had pale ales like Cigar City's Invasion that's a better IPA than it is a pale ale. Yeah,
and I think, and I don't know where, because I've brewed an American pale ale, and basically what we did is we just put a little less hops in it. I mean, it's kind of an IPA that you just try to tone it down a little bit. And they've actually done a good job. Their APA comes in at 34 IBU. And actually, theirs was a phenomenal example because, again, going back to their APA, it had a great hoppy nose and a great grassy taste, but it wasn't real bitter. So it was a pretty tasty brew for me. What'd you try there?
I'm on the Orange Blossom.
The Orange Blossom. This is another IPA. This one is 6.4%, 91 IBU.
You can definitely smell the orange, and it's a lot more of a bitter flavor, but not a lot of hop flavor. I think he mentioned that these are kind of orange, citrus, really citrus hops, and I kind of get that.
The citrus is there. You're right. You're right. It's weird. I get the bitter, but I don't get the hoppiness. If that makes any sense at all. Like I'm not tasting the earthy, the grassy, the grapefruity, but I taste the citrus, and I do taste the hops, but it's not overly bitter. This is actually for 91 IBU. This is dangerous. At 91 IBU, it's 6.4%. I could drink a couple pints of this.
So you don't get the real bitter back end. So I get, it's almost
a little, but it's different. It's not that mouth just complete coverage bitter, but it's there, but it's more of a citrusy.
Yeah, it's a citrusy kind of the back of the tongue,
like an orange zest kind of bitter almost. Yeah, like I could drink a decent amount of that, and then pretty much be like, no, I only had 2 beers. Like, no, it doesn't taste like it.
Yeah, that's what you tell your wife all the time, right? I only had 2 beers. I swear, honey.
I only had 2. Well, that's why you start ordering them in the growlers. You're like, I had 2. I had 2 beers.
Yeah, it's like that picture. Have you ever seen that picture of the guy's like, I only drink 1 glass of wine a night, but it like holds an entire bottle.
It holds the bottle. It's the giant one bottle. Yeah, technically, I had 2 beers. Or if you really want to split hairs, you have 2 of the singularities and 2 of the browns, and technically you only drink 2 different beers.
Yes.
It's in a court of law, it's all about what was true and what was half true.
Ooh, now we get to go for the trademark beer, IPA Freely.
IPA Freely. I will say that if you look at this beer as they have it spelled out on their chalkboard, the I and the P are big and the A is tiny. So for those of you playing the home game, this is IP Freely, which is one of the names you call in when you're trying to prank the bartender on The Simpsons, I believe.
Yes.
Is Mr. Freely there? Mr. IP Freely? Yes, that was the joke. Try this one out. This one I've had. I've had this at Old Chicago, and I've had this at another brewery in town.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. They had a couple runs of it.
I've never had any of their beers here.
And this was, and that's what I remember. It's a good IPA. Nice and malty. A lot of grassiness in that one. It's pretty drinkable all the way through. By the way, this is 79 IBU. It's their lowest IBU IPA that they have on the menu. But yeah, I've had that one before. I like it. It's the only Smiling Toad brew I had before coming in.
Okay.
And you're a complete Smiling Toad virgin. Not now. Now you've dabbled.
Yeah. No, I've had 9 of 10. There's still one sitting out there for me.
9 of 10. We have not yet delved into the world of the Fulcrum.
Yes, they're double IPA.
They're double IPA, which is at 9.2 and 100 squiggly letter 3. So it could be 103, it could be 113. Either way, it's over 100.
Yep.
And I've read several articles on brewing that say if it's over 100, you really can't tell the difference anymore. So places will be like, oh, it's 150. And you're like, yeah, it's still kind of 100.
It's a lot of IBUs.
Yeah.
This frog over here is kind of giving me the creepy eye. He's got a peace sign going. So in their windows,
up in the window, yeah,
they have painted toads, I would imagine.
Yep.
And most of them are just heads and eyes looking at you. One of them's throwing up a peace sign. Kind of look over. It's like, ooh, that guy's freaking me out.
Well, and it's clearly painted to be visible on the outside. So as they layered the colors, what we have is this muddy, dark-looking, angry, like I owe him money kind of frog staring at us and throwing up the peace sign.
Those could be scissors in his hand instead of a peace sign.
You never know. That's a dangerous proposition, by the way. We don't want to. You don't want to mess with the frog at Smiling Toad. That's all I am saying.
Well, maybe they're toads.
Toad. I would imagine a toad, but again, not a biologist. Not again. For the record, it's the first time I've ever claimed that. I'm not a biologist. So when you start talking about the difference between a frog and a toad, I don't know. I mean, salamander and frog, I understand. But frog and toad, one have warts. I
think one gives you warts and one of them just no idea.
And I'm pretty sure that the toads give you warts thing is a myth, too. I don't know. Because you know what? I get all my science knowledge from the Mythbusters, and they're off the air. So I don't know.
What was their take on the
I don't think they ever talked
toads?
About frogs and toads. Otherwise, I'd have information for you.
Well, I had a ton of warts on my hand growing up, and I grew up playing with toads all the time. Or toads or frogs. I don't know which one.
So you played with froggy-like animals and
had
warts
we
in your hands.
we used to go to Lake McConaughey in Nebraska, and they had toads. I think that they're toads because they had all the little bumps all over their backs.
Okay.
And I played with them all the time growing up, and crap, I've got on my pinky knuckle, I've got a scar almost the size of a dime. It was just huge.
I did not know going into this particular brewery that you were going to have like real life toad experience to bring to the show.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. That's just a bonus. Are you going in?
Oh, I'm going in.
It's time for the Fulcrum.
Yep.
9.2% IPA.
Wow.
What are your thoughts? I want to be like you said. I want to be critical. I want one of these to be terrible, so I can at least sound as though I'm being fair.
It's very malty.
To be fair, they've all been good.
You can't tell this is 9.2.
And that's what Bob, their bartender here today, was telling us, that this is a dangerous beer because you can't tell.
Yeah.
It's 9.2%.
It's not very bitter at all, to be honest.
Okay, and it's a
double
over 100
IPA.
IBU.
You don't get.
So is it?
I don't get much hop aroma, and I don't get much hop flavor, and I don't get much bitterness. It's really sweet.
Do you feel that it finished sweet enough that it covers up the hops, or do you feel that it's just not that hoppy? Or a little bit of both?
I don't know. I would, even with the sweetest IPAs, you usually get the hops out of them.
I pick them up. I pick up the hops, but it's not bitter. Like you can definitely pick it up, but it's really sweet. But,
not the bitter hops.
I shouldn't say really sweet. Let me clarify. When I say really sweet, I typically mean something like their lavender beer. This is sweet for an IPA.
Yep.
But it's not
really malty.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't taste like syrup or anything.
No.
It's very clean.
It is. It's as Bob said, it is dangerous. I mean, you could sip on this.
Yeah. I could put down 2 pints of this in less than an hour, and then when you start doing the math on that, you're like, you've almost had 4 buds at that point, right? And so that's a lot of beer to put down. It's really good. I'm a little disappointed in that we liked everything. I mean, there were a couple that weren't really the style we typically enjoy, but we liked everything here, and I really think it's a great place to come down. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. You come down here and it's your first time, get the sampler. You need to try them all. Even if you don't think you're going to be a fan of lavender or coconut, or try all the beers. Yeah. Because they're all very, very good.
They are.
And the good news is, if you're one of the craft beer hop heads, they got 4 IBAs on tap.
IBAs?
So, IBAs. Damn it. This is what happens when you get 10 beers in.
Those are...
International Bitterness Pale?
Yeah. India...
Bitter Ale.
Bud Ale?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
They have 4 IPAs on tap. IPAs. India Pale Ale. Pale Ales for India.
Yeah.
Which is originally what they were called. But yeah, come out, try them out. They've got some great IPAs. They've got some just overall great beer. Again, food trucks most days of the week. They've got growlers you can take home. They've got bombers you can take home. They've got great T-shirts. There's a piñata of a woman with glasses staring at me that I don't quite understand.
Kind of freaky.
Yeah, but that's behind the bar. Again, great
patio.
Table seating. Got the patio and the darts. Look, we got little steel-tipped darts. I think there might have to be a quick...
they even a little sticky ball. Look at that. I didn't notice that underneath the darts.
It's like Velcro ball.
Yeah, probably for the kids, right?
Probably for the kids. It's lower. It's definitely lower. I feel as though there needs to be a Beer Blazers steel-tipped dart-off after the episode's done recording. Like I feel like we need to take at least a cut at that. Play a little game of cricket and post the results online. Anyway, so... we've tried them all. There's not a whole lot more to chat about, so I think we're kind of getting up on the end of this one. Let me give you all the wonderful information. Oh, and so Tony, being new to this, doesn't understand. This is about what is going to happen to him. So, one of the other co-hosts who's done the other episodes with me, Eric Beeler, I always make him try to think of a great slogan for closing up the show. He's come up with Insane in the Beer Brain. They're not good. None of them are good. They're all bad. So... while I give everyone the information on how to find us, how to listen to the show, and how to send us comments and feedback, you have to try to think of a great closing tagline.
No.
So you think...
oh, yeah. Thanks for giving me 3.5 minutes heads up.
I don't even know if you have that long, but you think about it while I go ahead and close it up. So, this has been another episode of the Beer Blazers podcast. You can find us online at beerblazers.com and on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @/beerblazers. If you're out at one of the breweries we've drank at, or you're just out on the town having a good time, having some drinks, want to share a story, drunk dial us, that's fine. Call us up at 720-263-0337. And I just want to remind everybody, we are doing a little competition on Facebook. We're trying to get our Facebook followers up. Every time we hit the next 100, 100, 200, 300, we're going to go ahead and give away a free sticker. Every time we hit the next 1,000 followers, we're going to give away a free Beer Blazers t-shirt, which has yet to be designed, but I have time, so we're going to get that done. So follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, and you can be entered for that. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and at our website, beerblazers.com. And don't forget, call us. Seriously, call us. 720-263-0337. And with that, do you have a good, it could be a toast. What do you have? What's a good closing tagline? Beer Blazers, go.
I had nothing.
Beer Blazers,
I was listening
I've
to
got
you.
nothing. Well, you're supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to come up with something.
It was entertaining. You're way too entertaining for me to just straight ignore you.
Oh, that's the best compliment. Beer Blazers, too entertaining to ignore.
Yeah,
there you go. That's our tagline. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, keep your beers cold. Cheers.